A few days ago, I decided to make myself a sourdough starter. Why? Because I'm a sucker for punishment. In all honesty, I've actually made 3 sourdough starters, or at least tried to, and they were all absolute failures. So I did the next best thing. I bought a sourdough starter from a local baker, and I was able to make beautiful loaves with that starter. In today's video, I want to show you how to make a sourdough starter from scratch. A sourdough starter it's like yeast. The yeast that people use to make bread with. And you can make it in your kitchen with just water and flour and patience. Sourdough starters make awesome tasting bread that's easy to digest. So let's make ourselves a sourdough starter. Okay, let's talk about what you need. You'll need a spoon. I usually use this spoon to stir the starter as well as clean the edges of the jar. You'll also need a chopstick. I usually use it to mix the sourdough starter. You'll need lukewarm water. I'm using tap water, but you can use purified water or any water that doesn't have any chlorine in it. You'll need 2 glass jars, one that's big and another one that's small. And the reason we're using glass jars is so that you can be able to look into the jar and see the progress of your sourdough starter. I prefer using wide mouth jars. So a rubber band or a marker will help you figure out how high your sourdough starter has risen. You'll also need a scale. Scales are actually very inexpensive. I got this scale at Walmart. The cool thing about a scale is that you can use it for all your baking needs. Just press it on, and then it has a unit button. For this video, we'll be using grams. You'll also need flour. In this case, I used whole wheat flour. You can use rye flour too. Okay, just put the jar on a scale, change it to grams, hit tare, which takes it to 0, and then add 30 grams of flour and 30 grams of lukewarm water. And using your chopstick, stir the mixture and then grab a rubber band, place it at the level of your mixture, and then set it on the counter for about 12 hours. And look at that, overnight it doubled in size. How cool is that? But don't be too excited. This is actually known as a false rise. And what's going on in the jar is good bacteria and bad bacteria are pretty much duking it out. And if you give the jar a sniff, it smells like a teenager's armpit. It's really bad. If you look at the surface of the starter, you'll see lots of bubbles. And that's a good sign. But what we are doing is we want to get this mixture to a place where it doubles in size consistently. Okay, next thing you do is get 30 grams of sourdough starter, 30 grams of water, and then add 30 grams of flour, stir, and then set it on the counter. And look at that. The next day, it doubled in size, which is pretty cool. Actually, it did not just double in size. It looks like it tripled in size. It still has bubbles. It still stinks. But that's a good sign. It's a sign that we're on the right track. Okay, we're going to add 30 grams of starter, 30 grams of water, and 30 grams of whole wheat flour. Put a rubber band on it. If you like it, put a rubber band on it, a lid, and set it on the counter. And then just wait. Look at that. It rose, but it did not double in size, which is okay. My understanding is the good bacteria is beginning to win. So 30 grams of starter, 30 grams of water, 30 grams of flour. Just combine, clean the edges, put a rubber band and a lid on it, and there you go. The next day it rose, but that wasn't a huge rise. But if you notice, you'll see bubbles, and that's a good sign. The bubbles mean that the good bacteria in there are releasing gas. They're pretty much farting. And that gas is what helps the dough rise. At least that's my understanding. Okay, 30 grams of starter, 30 grams of water, and 30 grams of flour. Combine, clean the edges. There you go. That's how it's supposed to look. Put the rubber band, lid, and set it on the counter. It's pretty repetitive. And would you look at that? That's pretty cool. That rose a little higher than usual. Actually, this time we're gonna make a change. We're gonna put 50 grams of starter, 50 grams of water, and 50 grams of flour. And it was at this point I realized I made a mistake. My jar was too small, so I transferred it to a larger jar. So just stir, put a rubber band on it, and put the lid, set it on the counter, and there you go. Look at that. The next day, it rose. And it actually rose more than halfway. You see those streak marks? That means that it rose, it doubled, and then it went like above the double. And so we're going to feed it again. This is a great sign. This is a sign that says that we have a sourdough starter that's successfully rising and falling. Here we go. We're going to put 50 grams of starter, 50 grams of flour, and 50 grams of water. Then put a rubber band on it, a lid, and then set it on the counter. 12 hours later, it's doubled again, which is kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Oh my gosh, look at that. It doubled. It more than doubled. I took a look at it earlier on and I noticed that it had doubled in size. So I put this blue rubber band on it just to see whether it would go above the rubber band. And sure enough, it did. You see those streaks? That just means that it went above halfway, which is amazing. This pretty much just tells me I have a sourdough starter that's ready to bake with, which is pretty awesome. And so what I did is I fed it a few more times, this time with 30 grams of starter, 30 grams of water, and 30 grams of flour. I fed it a couple of times with that ratio, and then I made this loaf of bread with it. Look at that. That's one gorgeous looking loaf. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that it's now less intimidating for you to make a sourdough starter from scratch, because all you need is water, flour, and time. And before you know it, you'll have a sourdough starter. If you like this video, hit the like button. You'll find the written instructions in the description below. Please check out this next video.